Pro Tools versus Studio One. Which one is best for you? If you've seen my videos before, you know that I'm an advocate and an avid user of Pro Tools. But there are a lot of choices of different DAWs out there these days. And if you're an audiobook narrator trying to figure out which DAW is the best fit for you, then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be taking a mild dive into the pros, cons, and key features of these two big players in the audiobook game, Pro Tools and Studio One. Because I can't quite possibly cover every little detail about both DAWs in this single video, so I'll be covering the areas that you must know about. But before we begin, as always, I want to give you my narration EQ guide. Because if you're serious about getting that perfect narration sound, it's going to be a game changer for you. So head to thehomeaudioproject.com/EQ. It's perfect for finding the right frequencies to boost or cut to get that rich, clear sound that makes your narration stand out. Now, let's break down everything you need to know, from pricing and features to editing tools and overall usability. I want to give you a one-to-one comparison, but by the end, there's one key difference that might have the edge for self-producing narrators. One thing to note as well is that both DAWs have multiple versions, each increasing in price, but each DAW's basic version should give you everything you need to fully produce audiobooks that you record. Alright, starting with the basics. Pro Tools is a heavyweight in the professional audio world, used in studios everywhere, not just for audiobooks, but obviously music as well. And it's known because of its precise control, deep feature set, and especially when you're dealing with detailed spoken word editing like audiobook narration. Pro Tools, as I mentioned, comes in multiple versions, including Pro Tools Artist, which is honestly probably the best choice for most self-producing narrators, because just at $99 a year or $10 a month, it includes every update that Pro Tools releases. So you're always working with the latest tools without honestly breaking the bank. Then there's Pro Tools Studio at $300 a year or $35 a month, and Pro Tools Ultimate at $400 a year or $100 a month. To be personal, I've been running an audiobook production company for around 2 years now, and I've just been using Pro Tools Artist at the $99 a year, with no need to update to anything more than that. So at that price, it's more than paid for itself 10 times or even 100 times over. But now let's talk about the recent change that hit the Studio One side of things pretty big in 2024. As of this recording, PreSonus introduced a significant shift in their licensing model with the release of Studio One Pro 7. If you're used to the old Artist or Prime editions, those have been discontinued, and they're now focusing on Studio One Pro, which is available for either a perpetual license or the standard subscription model. So with the perpetual license, here's the pricing. If you're brand new to Studio One, you can grab a perpetual license for only $200, while existing Studio One users can just get an upgrade for $150. And with the updates, you get 1 year of feature updates on the day that you register. But after that year, you can still keep access to your current version forever. But if you want the newest features after that point, then you're going to have to pay for additional updates. Now, for the subscription model, Studio One Pro Plus, which was formerly Studio One Plus, this subscription gets you continuous access to the latest features, plus some cloud-based tools and other extra content. And the pricing for that will run you around $180 a year, or weirdly $91 for 6 months if that's all you need it for. So something to keep in mind is both include ongoing updates with the subscription model, and both also have a one-time purchase option. But as new versions come out with updated features, you'll have to pay for that update. A perpetual license gives you ownership of the current version, but then again, you're going to be paying for updates over time. And honestly, that kind of sells it for me. Pro Tools is already $80 cheaper when you pay annually for the yearly subscription. $100 versus $180. Punch and roll. If you're familiar with this technique, you know it's a lifesaver for fixing small mistakes on the fly without having to start from the top each time. Both Pro Tools and Studio One offer punch and roll, but they each just handle it a little differently. In Pro Tools, punch and roll, in my opinion, is very smooth and it feels very much tailored for precision. But let me explain kind of how it works here. When you need to redo a line or a few words, Pro Tools lets you easily set an end point where you want the recording to start again. The DAW gives you a short pre-roll, a little bit of playback from just before the end point, so that way you can sync up with your previous take. Then Pro Tools punches in at the exact moment, and Pro Tools continues recording seamlessly. This approach is great for keeping things tight and avoiding any extra editing after the fact. Now, Studio One takes a similar approach that's just as effective. It gives you the option to punch in where you left off, and like Pro Tools, it includes that helpful pre-roll so that you can catch the flow before recording picks back up again. One thing Studio One does well here is its intuitive replace button, which lets you easily punch and roll without needing to set your cursor each time. You get to just hit record, listen to your playback, then you can jump right into the take with minimal fuss. Let's dig into another important aspect for self-producing narrators, which is editing. Here's where, in my opinion, Pro Tools really shines. Pro Tools offers multiple editing tools like slip, grid, spot, and shuffle. These might sound a little technical, but they are extremely useful. Slip mode lets you move the audio freely across the timeline, so it's perfect for aligning your voice up with precision. While grid mode snaps your edits to a set grid, making it easier to maintain timing if you're syncing with time codes or other reference points. Spot mode is a lifesaver when you need to place audio clips at exact time locations, which is ideal for fixing mistakes or aligning sections of your audiobook. But in all honesty, I've never used spot mode for audiobooks, as I usually just utilize markers, but it could be helpful for dropping in pickups, since you will have the time code based on the error that you may have made, which allows you to just drop in the pickup right at the exact time spot that you need. In shuffle mode, it automatically snaps clips together, removing any gaps. So if you're editing out breaths, let's say, or pauses, shuffle mode helps you by making the cut, and everything after that slides back automatically, keeping everything tightly connected. Now, this is great for narrators that want to ensure a smooth, continuous flow without having to manually drag clips around every time. Now, Studio One's editing tools are just a little bit more simplified, which can be both a pro and a con just depending on how you look at it and what your needs are. It has basic editing modes like snap to grid for aligning clips, but it also lacks the deeper functionality that you get with Pro Tools with the spot mode. However, Studio One's drag and drop feature is a time saver if you're doing simpler editing or arranging clips quickly. And this is where the Smart tool in both Pro Tools and Studio One come in. In both DAWs, the Smart tool adjusts your files based on where your cursor is, which can definitely make basic editing faster for beginners. Now, both DAWs give you the ability to make detailed edits, but Pro Tools toolset gives you that extra layer of control that can make a big difference in polishing your final audiobook. It's especially helpful if you need to go back and fix specific sections or smooth out breaths or pauses, and understanding the difference can make a huge impact in how smooth your whole entire workflow really is. In Pro Tools, the Smart tool combines a few different tools into one, which is the Trim tool, the Selector, the Grabber, and the Fade tool, depending on where you hover your mouse or your cursor. If you hover over the top of a clip, then you can highlight parts of your narration to either play back or listen to right there on the spot. Now, if you move to the bottom of the clip, then you can grab it and you can drag it wherever you need to put it. If you're at the edges of a clip, it lets you trim the start or the ends of a clip to clean things up. And the bonus is when you hover near the edge of a clip at the top, then it brings up the Fade tool to either fade in, fade out, or perform a crossfade if you have two connecting clips. Now, this is great for smoothing out transitions if you're piecing together sections of your narration. It really gives you a lot of control. But now let's talk about Studio One's Smart tool, which combines the Arrow tool and the Range tool in one. Now, this works pretty similar in a manner as Pro Tools, but it's a little bit more simplified. Instead of a bunch of functions in one tool, it keeps things pretty straightforward and only combines two tools. There are other tools that you can use in the toolbar though, so you'll be able to figure out your workflow pretty easily. With the Arrow tool, you can select, move, and trim all in one go based on where you place your cursor. And the Range tool is used to make selections within or across events and tracks. Now, it's useful for making changes to a specific part of a clip without having to split it into divisions. If you're trimming, just hover near the edges. If you're moving clips, then hover in the center of a clip. And it also works with the snap to grid setting, which is super handy if you want clips to align to certain points on a timeline. Up next is audio quality and performance. When it comes to recording and playback, Pro Tools is known for its robust audio engine, which handles larger projects and more complex processing super easy. Now, this is critical when you're working with longer recordings like an entire audiobook. The low latency means that you can hear everything in real time without delays, making your recording process crazy smooth. And speaking from experience, with a lot of my coaching clients who don't use Pro Tools, I've learned that a lot of narrators don't or can't record an 8-hour audiobook or longer in one session, or at least on one track, as their DAW just can't handle the different recording files, and let alone all the processing once it's time for editing and mastering. Having worked for a publisher, working with the standard of recording in all in one session and keeping every aspect of the project together, recording an entire audiobook in one session keeps you organized, and it's less likely to lose any piece of audio or a chapter. And Pro Tools can handle every aspect of file management within a single session. Another thing to mention about Pro Tools really quickly is it being able to do a quick ACX check without a third-party piece of software. With the Gain plugin in the Audio Suites menu, you can pull it up and analyze audio to see where it falls according to the ACX standards, which is a must-have for self-producing narrators, giving you that extra sense of confidence before you get that dreaded ACX kickback. Studio One also offers strong recording quality, but when you start adding multiple edits, plugins, or working with larger files, it may struggle on lower end systems. So make sure your computer can handle it. Pro Tools tends to be a bit more resource efficient in these situations, which can be a game changer if you're recording on a setup that's not the latest and greatest or the most ideal. If you're a narrator that currently uses Studio One, I'm really curious, so leave me a comment down below on how well Studio One holds up for you in the various stages of the recording and editing and mastering process. Studio One's performance is definitely up to the task. It can handle it. But if you're regularly handling projects of any size or doing a lot of processing, Pro Tools has a slight edge in maintaining a stable workflow. Now that said, I have worked in Studio One, and you can easily edit, record, and master in Studio One, so it definitely holds up. It really just kind of comes down to your computer's capabilities and the processing power behind it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to cover in this video for now, because again, I can't cover everything in this one video. Every main player type of DAW that isn't free doesn't have destructive editing like Audacity, but if it's one of those that is a top player like Studio One or Pro Tools, it can definitely do the job and get the audiobooks recorded and ACX ready for you. So, who wins? Well, both Pro Tools and Studio One bring a lot to the table, and it really just depends on what you are looking for. Studio One is fantastic for newer beginners who just want a straightforward workflow. But if you're looking for a DAW that grows with you in your narration journey and gives you the ultimate control over your narration projects, then Pro Tools Artist is really hard to beat. At just $99 a year for Pro Tools Artist, it gives you every update, making it a solid investment if you're serious about your narration journey and perfecting your sound and staying up to date with the latest tools. And even the gain plugin for an ACX check gives Pro Tools that edge if you're mastering audiobooks at the professional level. But if you're still on the fence, I'd say try them out because both DAWs offer free trials. Pro Tools also has a free version, so you can actually see what fits your style. But with that, please don't forget to download my free narration EQ guide at the homeaudioproject.com/EQ. It's a huge help if you want more depth, presence, and clarity out of your voice. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in another video real soon.